It's often said that belief can move mountains. But the crucial question is, where should our faith truly lie? This narrative delves into that very query. Lencho, a farmer by trade, writes a heartfelt letter to God after his crops are ruined. In this letter, he requests 100 pesos from God. So, does Lencho's letter actually reach God? And if it does God send him the much needed money? Think about what your answers to these questions would be. In this story, pesos are introduced as the currency used in Latin America, similar to how India uses rupees as its currency. Just as rupees are the standard monetary unit in India, pesos serve the same function in Latin America. And before you proceed with the rest of this story, you might already be able to guess how intriguing and fascinating it is going to be. There was only one house perched on the crest of the hill in the entire valley, and from this house, one could enjoy an incredibly beautiful view that included not only a flowing river, but also ripe cornfields and many other picturesque scenes. This year, the harvest had been exceptionally good, with the entire cornfield being filled with flowers. The cornfield needed just one thing. The crops were in need of rain, or at the very least, a brief shower to thrive. Lencho, who was very familiar with his fields, spent the entire day gazing at the sky towards the northeast, anticipating and praying for the rain to arrive. Eventually, he approached his wife and remarked, "It seems like we might get some good rain today." His wife, who was busy preparing dinner, responded while continuing to cook,
"Yes, if it is God's will, then it will surely rain."
Lencho's older boys were diligently working in the fields, while the younger ones were playing right near the house. Then, Lencho's wife called everyone inside the house to come and have dinner together. Just as they were eating, large raindrops started falling, exactly as Lencho had predicted earlier. In the northeast, massive clouds could be seen approaching, signaling the arrival of the much-needed rain. The air was crisp and sweet. When Lencho stepped outside to feel the rain, he remarked with joy, "These aren't just raindrops falling from the sky. They're like new coins. The larger drops are worth 3 cents, and the smaller ones are worth 5 cents. He watched with happiness as the nourishing rain enveloped his ripened cornfields, which were in full bloom, and he couldn't help but smile at the sight. However, all of a sudden, a strong wind began to blow fiercely, and along with the rain, large hailstones started to fall from the sky. These hailstones remarkably resembled new silver coins, and the boys, filled with excitement, rushed outside to collect the frozen pellets. Lencho then remarked with concern, "This is not good at all. I really hope that this storm passes quickly." The house, garden, and cornfields were covered with hailstones. The field was white, like it was covered with salt. Not a single leaf remained on the trees. The corn was completely destroyed. The flowers and plants were all ruined by the heavy rain.
The cornfield was not spared from the destruction either. The corn was utterly destroyed, and the flowers had fallen off the plants. Lencho's heart was filled with sorrow. When the storm finally subsided, he stood in the middle of the field and told his children, "Even locusts would not have caused as much damage as this hailstorm did this year. The hailstorm has left us with nothing. This year, we won't have any corn at all." That night was filled with sorrow and despair. There is no one who can come to our aid. It seems like we will all go hungry this year without any help. However, in that solitary house nestled in the middle of the valley, every single person residing there had just one hope, and that was to receive help from God. Do not be so disheartened, even though it may seem like a complete disaster. Remember, no one ever dies of hunger. Throughout the entire night, Lencho could only think about one thing, which was the hope of receiving God's help. Lencho was a farmer whose eyes seemed to see everything, even the thoughts in someone's mind. He was incredibly hardworking, toiling in the fields with the strength and dedication of an ox. Despite his demanding work, he was literate. On the following Sunday morning, he decided to write a letter addressed to God. In that letter, he penned, "Dear God, if you do not come to our aid, my family and I will have to endure hunger throughout this year. I am in dire need of financial assistance to replant my fields and support us until the next harvest season arrives. To sustain ourselves and survive, we need 100 pesos because the hailstorm has completely ruined all of our crops." He placed the letter into his pocket and, feeling quite anxious and worried, began his journey towards the city. As soon as he reached the post office, he put a stamp on the letter. Then, he gently placed the letter into the mailbox. One of the post office employees, who was also a postman and frequently helped around the office, took the letter and went to his superior. Laughing heartily, he showed his boss the letter addressed to God. There was a postman who, throughout his entire career, had never come across an address like that. The postmaster, who was slightly overweight and known for his very friendly nature, laughed as well. However, he quickly became serious, placed the letter on his desk, and said, "I wish I had the same kind of unwavering faith as the person who wrote this letter." He added, "I wish I could believe in God with such absolute certainty." And he decided that it was absolutely necessary for Len Chou to receive a reply to his heartfelt letter. However, upon opening the letter, it became quite clear that responding appropriately would require more than just good intentions, ink, and paper. Despite recognizing these challenges, he remained steadfast in his commitment and asked his employees for money. He gave part of his salary. He asked friends for help. They collected 100 rupees.
And also borrowed some money from his friends. Gathering 100 pesos proved to be somewhat difficult for him, so he was only able to collect 70 pesos. He placed the money inside an envelope that had Len Chou's address written on it and included a letter with a signature. In the form of just one word, there was something written, and that word was God. The next Sunday, Len Chou arrived at the post office a little earlier and asked,
Listen, is there a letter for me?
The letter was handed to Len Chou by the postman himself, while the postmaster watched from his office, feeling content with the good deed they had done. Len Chou, seeing the money, was not surprised at all, thanks to his strong self-confidence. However, upon counting the money, he felt a bit upset and thought to himself,
God could not have made any mistakes, and there is absolutely no way that he would refuse us either.
Without any delay, Len Chou went to the window to request paper and a pen. He then moved to the public writing table, where he began to write with anger. After he finished writing the entire letter, he went back to the window, bought a stamp, attached it to the letter, and then dropped it into the mailbox before leaving the post office. The moment the letter dropped into the mailbox, the postmaster hurried to open it. Inside it said, "God, out of the money I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me, which is not enough for my needs. Therefore, I kindly request you to send me the remaining amount because I really need it urgently. However, please do not send it through the mail because I believe all the staff at the post office are dishonest and untrustworthy." So, let me now take a moment to explain the meanings of the difficult words that have been used in this story. The word corn means maize, which is also known as corn or cob. The word crest is used to refer to the top of a mountain. In the context of this story, the term frozen pulse means frozen ice, which we also refer to as hail or sometimes as a hailstorm. Locusts are insects and they have a certain appearance that looks like this.